Alright, so I just wanted to just bring this to your attention, right? You see that? That's my monitor, that's my PC, that's my PS2, and that's my TV. In order to do this, I had to bring my PC down here and hook it up to my TV and this because my Pheonix TV died, right? And I just want people to know the dedication that was put into this. Like, the amount of work I put into making a shit video for my channel. So, yeah. Love me, please. Who could blame me for picking up such a lovable nightmare? I mean, look at the box!
Honestly, the box does create the perfect feeling that one should have before going into a game like this. It genuinely feels like I'm walking down a dark alleyway in a barely exposed part of town ready to get beaten up.
So obviously I had to pay through the nose to get this thing imported from Italy in order to talk about it. Normally I'd talk about the backstory of this thing, except none really exists. I found sites talking about it being rare, and sites displaying its copyright information, which is all shit you could really find on the box anyway, so let's just get right into it, shall we?
So the game opens up with a menu that looks like it's from a real game, which always kind of shocks me even at this point, but whatever. I went to the single player mode as I didn't really give much of a shit about anything else and was taken to the character select screen. There I had 6 choices: Kung Lao, John Cena, Buster Loeb, Cornrows, 50 Cent's loser cousin Dime Boy, and a character from Fallout 2. So torn between these 6 lovable characters, I decided to go for Kung Lao, which I was happy about as he kinda looks like a bald version of Hat Man in the game, and I consider that to be a real bonus. Near future. City of West Bay. In recent years, crime rate has grown very fast and government is unable to secure the city anymore. Streets were overtaken by criminals and the city is now ruled by merciless and cruel gangs. In desperate need to fight back, government gathers the best of the best and creates a special unit called Strike Force. One of the Strike Force agents, nicknamed Bulldog, along with his team, is sent to the streets with a mission to restore order. So, already there are several things that I love about this. The first is that the government is just called government. Not the government, but government. What happened? Did they lose the article at the start of their name when everything went to shit? Was that the price that they paid?
I also love as well how there's a lot of violence on the street, so they send out some thugs to fight the violence with violence. It makes too much fucking sense.
So we do have a very strong premise here, but what about the gameplay? Well, in truth, it's interesting. This is definitely one of the more competent games put out by this company, which is sad because it's pretty woeful. But as a brawler, it's functional at least. However, they committed a cardinal sin of street brawler development by reusing assets from fighting games and making it into another kind of game. You very quickly notice that most of the characters in this game are recycled from World Championship Wrestling, which is more or less a Fallout 76 version of Knockout Kings 2001. That game was pretty bad as you just sort of mashed buttons and I had no idea what I was doing in that game either, but at least it was somewhat fit for purpose. This one is a little less so, but it's still playable. You move around these areas and fight 2 or 3 baddies at a time before the level ends, and you move on to the next bit. Sometimes there is an evil boss to defeat, but those are really just tougher versions of regular enemies. But everything in this game is beatable as far as I've seen. However, a game being playable is the bare minimum of what it should be. How is it as a game? Well, word shit comes to mind. You You see, you get 4 attacks and there seems to be throws and special moves in the game, but I have no idea how to pull any of them off. This is even assuming that they're available to the player, as I've only ever seen NPCs do them to me. But one thing that I noticed very quickly was how little punches do, and how slow they are to connect. They are so slow in fact that they get constantly interrupted. The only attack with any bite is a circle button kick. This actually is quick enough and damaging enough to do some real harm to your opponents, and you can more or less kick them in the shins until they fall down. It looks pathetic and it's tedious, but it got me through the game. As I said, I didn't execute a single special move, but from the looks of the damage that enemy special moves did to me, I don't think they're worth pissing about with. There's this epic Jet Li kick that never managed to connect once. Fucking Fujin does more damage than these pricks. Anyway, mashing the circle button is the best way to get through this mess, but even then you have to align yourself properly to hit the target, or else you end up facing the wrong way entirely and just attack random things like a malfunctioning Michael 6. I do like that there's some sort of variety when it comes to enemies. They all behave the exact same way, but they at least look a little different to each other. There's all kinds of designs like Ulysses here, Kill Phil, a Gimp, both black and Latino Bane, etc. One thing I'll also give this game is it's one of the better looking Pheonix games that I've played. It has some real detail in its background, like this office area where there's even a big puddle of liquid shit on the floor. Don't know what the fuck happened to the walls though. Guessing Kool-Aid Man broke through it or some shit. The mission was going well, but information from the strike force had been leaked. The team was ambushed, and only Bulldog has escaped. Unfortunately, the evidence was pointing that Bulldog was responsible for the accident, and he is accused of committing this crime. Bulldog is now a fugitive, and decides to find out what happened, and why he was accused for the crime he never committed. There's also some expansive lore to this game's universe. Like this guy who's desperate to pass his tumble dryer on for free to a good home. The guy gets so obsessed with passing it on to a prospective seller that he buys a billboard to put it up on offer across the whole city. Seems odd to me in a city with no law and order. Why not just put it on the side of the road for some gypsies to pick up? Or does he have to meet the prospective owner to see if they're worthy? Maybe there's some sort of tribal test that they have to do. We also find ourselves returning to the junkyard from the toys room, where Penis stayed with that old pedo gnome. Those were some good times. No, they weren't. Anyway, this level ends with us having to fight Old Man Wannabeard, who has lost most of his pirate shite and just become a generic street thug. This is a dark future indeed. I beat him up and get the next part of the story. While on the run, Bulldog was searching for clues. He found out that one of the gang bosses was responsible for the ambush. But the more he searched, the stronger he was assured that clues led to the strike force itself. It seemed that the evidence was fabricated, but it was unclear who could do that. The only sane explanation, that it was someone from the higher ranks. But who? Bulldog decided to contact his best friend Snake, who is a higher ranking officer in Strike Force, and ask for help.
Snake's the traitor.
No, really, it has to be Snake. He's the only other character in this story, so unless there's some Fight Club shit going on, it has to be the character who isn't the main character. Snake's the traitor. So we go to Slippery Snake for some info, which involves beating up some people and gluing their smashed in teeth to a sheet of paper and mailing it to Snecko. I think. I don't know. So yeah, you fight your way through Turtle's lair, and what the fuck is this guy wearing? You know, the environment kinda reminds me of Red Faction 2 with the lighting and the 2002 looking visuals. I find it quite quaint, to be honest. Then, we end up having a scuffle at the railway station. I do kind of like the sky in this level, and a few other details, in a sort of dated way. I'm not sure I'd call this game lazy or even incompetent. It's crap, but crap isn't the worst thing that a game can be anymore. We then end up fighting Jason Voorhees at the train station in a punk outfit. Alright. After the call to his friend, Bulldog is ambushed again. He is lost in astonishment, and whilst running away, breaks into Snake's house to hide from the pursuers there. But things turn out unexpectedly as he finds a black notebook. His best friend, a strike force officer, is the gang boss that he was looking for, and is the man responsible for ambushing the team and betraying his very own best friend.
I love as well that they have to keep bringing up that they're best friends. That's the only thing in this whole story that can be established about their relationship. They're best friends. That nothing else can be noted.
His best friend.
So we have to fight in Snake's house, which turns out to be a public toilet. I do like that Bulldog breaks into Snake's house without even telling him anything. I can't decide if that's a great friendship or a terrible one. All I know is that if I came home from work and Loz broke into my public toilet and was just chilling in there eating my baked beans cold, I'd kick his ass on the spot. At this point, I tried a little trick that I was working on where I turned on the turbo controller so I could just turbo kick and hold down the button instead of having to push it, but it didn't quite work. Shame really, as turbo kick would have really been fun to watch, and it would have moved things along a lot quicker. Anyway, the final fight of Snake's sweet crib is Black Bane, who I kicked to death and moved on to the next area, which is a shithole. I guess this is Snake's back garden. Anyway, this level is different because you get attacked by 3 jackasses instead of just 2. And if that doesn't sound shitty enough, they can spawn up to 3 at a time, and then they gang up on you, so that's fun. Anyway, after getting my ass handed to me, twice, I finally reached the final boss, Discount Negan. Bulldog is frustrated. Snake got greedy for the money and betrayed everything he had, even his best friend. Now he must be defeated for the sake of the city. He's not the man Bulldog has known, but Snake is his
best friend.
Or at least he was. I still can't help but be impressed by the continued artistic cohesion and visual competence. It's presentable and I kinda like that. It looks like the shittiest M. Dickey game ever made, but it's at least a game. Anyway, we then take on this weirdo, who is the evil enemy boss of this region, and despite being pile-drivered into concrete, I managed to kick him until he falls onto his arse, and I'm able to move on. We then move on to a seedy nightclub, which plays out like any other scene, minus the constant bombardment of 2 or more enemies. However, unlike most levels, this ends with Snake. Why is he Wolverine? So anyway, I kicked Snake's adamantium shins in and managed to win the day. And colour me gobsmacked, there's actually a cutscene at the end.
Oh, it's got an ending cutscene. Ah, so you have defeated me. Where are the missing team members? They are locked down in the basement. Oh no. How could you betray us? Why? Wow, this is gripping. Fuck Cyberpunk, this is a much better written game. How could you betray me? I'm sorry. You were my best friend. I know. I thought we... Why? For what? Money, power. Money, power, and that's all? No. Prostitutes. I wanted control. I wanted more power and became greedy. I was blinded by money. And you sold us for this? I'm sorry. I forgot what I was living for. I forgot who I am. And I forgot what I had. It's disgusting. Please, if our friendship has ever meant anything to you, then forgive me. I'm truly sorry. I'll forgive you, but you will have to pay for your mistakes. Oh, fuck off. New high score, enter your name.
Oh, fuck. That was amazing.
I have to say, even though it feels like it was written by a child, there are some elements that I really like about this story.
If our friendship meant anything, forgive me. What, the friendship you disregarded for wealth and power? You mean that friendship? I love that he actually forgives him as well. What a fucking chump. Bulldog has found and defeated Snake. He liberated the captured team and brought Snake to the Strike Force headquarters. Bulldog was acquitted and Snake was sentenced to put in jail. After defeating one of the bosses, the situation in the city has improved and Strike Force is continuing to fight and restore order in the city. Well, I do love a good sad ending, and that was certainly a tearjerker if I've ever seen one. Well, that was Street Warrior. How was it? God awful. But I did appreciate some of its finer points. It's nice that they put some degree of effort into this game, even going as far as to add some sort of story in a cutscene. Both of which were shit, but I do kind of appreciate it. It's not the biggest chore to sit through, though it does get tedious after a while, especially if you're like me and can only get through the game by mashing the same button over and over again.
Well, fuck. Guess that's the last we'll ever see of Bulldog and his best buddy Snake, who I'm guessing later went on into that dystopian nightmare world from Extreme Sprint 3000. But don't worry, because next time we'll be talking about how Doa Tech have been doing over the past 5 years when we take a look at Dead or Alive 6 and see what's been changed since the last one. Hopefully something has and it's not another Tekken 7 scenario. I think I'd be legitimately sad if that was the case. Actually, I'm really worried now. It's going to be another Tekken 7 scenario, isn't it?